Entertain me for a second, guys, just for a few minutes. I was just thinking, you go on social media and you listen to people talking, and there's so many people that cannot talk without cursing. They have to have a F bomb in their vocabulary. And it's not even that they're mad, not that there's a reason, even when you're mad, but in their regular vocabulary, there's an F bomb, an MF, a this, uh, you know, a bitch, hose. For some black people, the N word. It's just like the B word, the F word, very common, MF. And guys, I'm starting to think that cursing is like an illness. I'm thinking it's just a sickness, and it is like it's a what is the word I'm trying to find? It's gonna come to me. Give me a second. Like it's some sort of a disorder, and that's not even the right term to use, because we know there's no dysfunction. But I do think after a while, in my opinion, someone that curses all the time, that's all they know. If you ask a person, what does the F word mean? What does it mean? The way they use it in a sentence. F you, define that. You're a effing da 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 da. What's a effing whatever? What's a MF? What are we talking about here? And what is interesting is that it's so common among adults. It's not teenagers that you're seeing cursing all the time like that, which I'm not saying they don't, but grown people. And it's amazing sometimes you see them on a professional platform. They may have their own podcast. They may have their own, these people are famous and they are just cursing and just being ugly. And I feel that the more educated people are becoming, the more entitled that they're getting, or the more riches they gain, the more entitled they become. But yet and still, they still carry the potty mouth with them to curse. Like when you hear a person talking, they're just going. And I'm like, this person has a disorder. Something is wrong. Something is wrong when a person does not know how to just talk without cursing. And sometimes they're just talking to you about a regular thing. They're just telling you about when they took their car to the mechanic, what happened, and then they're just cursing, and then this da da, and then this B, and and then I said, oh my effing God, and all these different things, and you're looking at them like, so you had no other fillers other than that. Some people may not like this or don't, they think it's normal. That's the thing about it. It's normal. Now, I would say I didn't curse a lot before I became a believer, but I did. I wasn't one of those sailor cussing persons, but I did say words, at times. Um, but I'm not saying, and I'm not justifying it to say, oh, well, if I say it less than those who said it more, it's different. No, cursing is cursing. And the way I knew that I was conditioned to it is because after I got saved, eventually I got around to, it was like maybe a while later. And when I try to watch some of my shows and the movies I used to watch, as I drew close to the Lord, because it didn't happen immediately, as salvation is a process. One day I was just trying to watch one of the stand-up comedians that I've watched in the past, and or one of the movies or the reality shows I watch, and I was like, man, that's when your mind, you open up and you go, I can't believe that I used to listen to this cursing, 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 cursing. And the thing is, cursing conditions you, speaking in a foul language. I believe it just changes something in your brain where you normalize it. When we first said that first curse word, remember we were little and kids, you hear that curse word, you're like, oh, ooh, he said this, ooh, you see? But then as you practice it, it just seems normal to you. And I really feel that there's something in the brain and all of that where it becomes normal. And so regular vocabulary words are dismissed and now they're substituted with, B words, MF words, just derogatory terms, the you know, just the word hit with the S in the front. Potty mouth. Potty mouth grown-ups that talks like this. And then when they, if they hear a video like this, then they are so conditioned to talk that way that me saying this, now they'll have either insults or you're weird because you don't curse. You're weird. This is how I talk. No, that's not how you always talked. You're introduced to that. You heard it. It was foreign to you. You tried it. It felt weird, but you did it some more, and now it's become your norm. And sometimes I just feel that if a person really tried not to curse, they'll see how difficult it is for them. If a person tried not to curse, the thing is, if it's just something you're doing, then try not cursing and see how hard it will be. See how hard it will be to express yourself without profanity. And if it's difficult to express yourself without profanity, that should give these individuals a clear picture of how depraved they have reached, this state of deprivation, that even when they're rich, even when they're educated, even when they have everything, whether they have it or not, they can still be depraved. The Bible says in Revelation chapter 3, it says, there's people who are rich and they say, I have need of nothing. And they don't realize that they're miserable, poor, blind, and naked. They don't realize that. They are poor, miserable, blind, and naked. And the Bible says, by their fruit you shall know them. And we do know that the Bible talks about an unclean spirit, foul jesting, foul language. What happens is we just think it's normal. We accept it as normal. Oh, it's okay to say the B word. It's okay to say the F word. It's okay to say the shh word. It's okay to do all that because society just kind of indoctrinates you to that. It was foreign to us at some point in our lives. And then when you heard it, it was weird. It did not feel comfortable coming out of your mouth the first time, but maybe at first you're shocked and shied away from it, but then you kind of liked it. You got around your friends and you all exchanged some little bad words together, and you just get to a place where you do say it. Cursing, I feel like it's an illness, not one that it's a disorder. It is a sickness, not one that you cannot overcome, but one that we've embraced as normal, and it's not normal. It's like saying, oh, it's normal to eat poop. Who said that? No, it's not. But your mind, you're used to it. You got past the taste. You know what that is. You know it's dirty. That's what foul language is. You know it's dirty. You know it's nasty. You know it stinks. But little taste test, first you sniffed it, then you licked it, then you took a small bit of it. Now you're taking big scoops of poop and putting it in your mouth. And now it's like, poop is okay. Well, that's what foul language is. That's the image it gives you. It gives you an image of being not uneducated, because we know it's not a matter of not being uneducated, but more so having a depraved mind. Your mind is depraved. There are so many words in the dictionary that you can use to speak, that what it is, there's an impulse. You're driven by a feeling. And it's like, oh, I just want to say this instead. I don't want to use a regular word. It sounds better to use say something deplorable and rude, because truly the mind becomes depraved, and as the Bible speaks about, you become like brute beast. So speaking doodle language is normal to you. Hearing doodle language was normal to me because I used to sit down and watch shows with cursing in it. Not too long ago, I tried to watch this movie. And supposedly it would have been something for children, for kids, right? Superheroes. If you pay attention, you see that the shows that we grew up watching, Superman, Spider-Man, Transformers, these are supposed to be shows for like kids, or those of us who grew up watching it, but they become more and more foul. I had to tell my son, oh, we can't watch this. We can't watch this. We can't watch it. Because we are not even 30 minutes in of a movie that's going to be an hour and 41 minutes. And while the character was cool, we heard cursing. I'm like, wait, what? Cursing. And I know they wanted to see it. I wanted to see it because I love, superheroes. I grew up watching those things. But you find that the shows that we were watching back in the day, Batman, Robin, and Batman, Spider-Man, Superman, they'll become the not them. They may not curse, but the everybody around them, the characters. It cannot be. They can't be just a movie where your children could go and enjoy it without some sort of agenda, subliminal messages, cursing, or words that are close to it. Because I remember seeing a show once where it would have been a curse, but they said something else. So something that alludes to it, innuendo. What was said was sugar, honey, iced tea. That's what the character said in a kid's show. Put it together. Something that a child would just pick up and say. But what I'm saying is cursing is just becoming a norm. And so, as I said, you're hearing cursing in just an ad. People are cursing in, I'm just looking at adult men, adult women, just sitting and cursing. And it's normal. No, it's not normal. That stuff is not normal. It is a sign of a depraved mind. It is a sign of having so much beauty and status and money or whatever it may be that even then you can't speak. You can't talk without falling to the power of cursing. Cursing is an impulse, it's just a feeling, so that instead of just saying a word, your mind just goes to this, what feels good. It feels good to say, this effing this and this mother effing this and this it feels better to say that. If you're making a point in comments, just as I expect to maybe see in these comments, what will happen? You are a effing other. That's the debased and the depraved mind. They don't know how to say what they need to say in proper English or the best English or whatever language they may speak. They can't do it because when they try to, it's hard. It feels better to curse and insult. And that's why I say something is going on in the mind, in the heart. Now, the Bible does tell us what's in the heart comes out of the mouth. And so really what has happened truly, and when I used to curse, is that what we pick up in society and our norms, we get around our friends, we can't curse at home, but we get around our friends who are cursing, and maybe you don't curse, probably used to be the quiet one. And now here you are leading the pack in the cursing because movies, television, our friends influences our environment, we're around what's appropriate. You're the weird one for not cursing. You're the weird one for not saying anything. And so the first time you say your first curse word, it seems weird, right? But then after time and practice, it becomes a norm. It becomes a second nature to us as breathing. And we're getting more and more in a society that's so crass. People talk about everything. Women love to harp about women's right, but then you get on television and talk about my vagina don't smell good. What is that? So you can get on television and talk about, is that liberation? Talking about your vagina is not fresh? What is that about? But then if a man came up to you and said, is your vagina fresh today? Oh, here we go, clutching the pearls. It's his harassment. But you put yourself out there doing commercials about shaving men's testicles. Okay, yeah, great. They have products for that. Let's finesse this up. You don't have to get all into it. The girl don't have to be talking about she was sniffing it the other night. It's just too much crass. It's just so much grime going on. And it's like, we understand that there are products out there that's necessary, whatever, great. You want to have a nice bowel movement. You don't have to be saying, when's the last time you checked your poop? Grow up. That is just my opinion. There's so many ways to say it. Other things. Oh, what are you drinking? What's in your effing cup? Do you think I'm gonna buy a product for you? So from you, and then when I get ready to, if I have an issue, you're telling me where to effing go, So guys, we just have to kind of see where we're heading, because if you really look at it, what example do our youth have today? When you're looking, what example is there? Because the grown-ups the grown-ups are playing video games just as much as the kids are. The grown-ups are cursing and just as out of control. The grown-ups are bullying and bullying one another in comments online, and bullying each other online, and telling people what they can and cannot say, and doing all these different things. And it's easy for them just to curse. So are we surprised when children are cursing more, when children are behaving a certain way, when they're bullying other kids, when they're saying this and that, when what you're seeing on television, what's being given a voice, who are being given a voice? Oh, people that's just cursing and carrying on and talking about one another, and maybe condoning violence in some settings, and calling each other all types of names. Men of color calling each other the N-word, and this and that, and women of color calling men of color boy, that boy. Stop that. I don't want to go on another soapbox here, but that boy thing, that's a slave term. That is a slave term, because that's what the slave masters will call the men. They did not consider them men. So they'll say boy. And so there are lots of things where Black people are, they're looking at other men. Oh, that's my boy right there. Oh, that's my homeboy. No, you're not a boy. You're a man. He's not a boy. He's a man. I was listening to someone talking, and the person was saying, yeah, I was like, ooh, that boy is cute. Who that boy? No, that's stuff that's ingrained, and that's why you find so many, not all, of our men. Maybe I can't speak for other nature. Other ethnicities and whatever, and other cultures, but what I see a lot, with the exception of some, but most of the men of color, they still dress like they did when they're still wearing the same outfits they wore when they were like 20, when they were 19, when they were coming up. Why do you still look like a boy and you're 50? Why are you still wearing certain things? It does not fit anymore. It does not look right anymore, because they never get out of that. They think that I have to stay looking like this boy that I was when I was 16, 17. Look at your wardrobe. What's changing? Honestly, how many white men do you see walking up on stage in a baseball hat on and all of that? And how many white men do you see wearing, polo outfits, unless they're horseback riding, just wearing it out, just to wear it out? Come on. But I digress. And I'm not against Black people. I'm not against my own, but I'm just trying to show you some things that I do see. It is a mentality and it is a mindset. And really, it boils down to where you are with God. Truly, that's what it boils down to, your walk with God. Because what's happening is we are conforming ourselves, or we were before salvation, conforming ourselves to the world. What the world dictates for you, what the world says you should be as a black person, what the world dictates you should be as a white person, how you should speak, how you should treat other people, what the world dictates that we should be looking like, and what we should be saying as women, and how we should speak, and what is normal. It is not normal to have a gutter mouth. It is a disorder. Something is wrong. Something was wrong with me when I was talking like that, and something was wrong with me when I was just sitting there listening to it. And what the Bible talks about in 2 Corinthians 4:4, it's called when your mind is darkened, suddenly fecal matter will look like a cookie. And fecal matter is the opposite of a solid. Correction, it's the opposite of a liquid. Suddenly, oh, no, it's not bad. That's okay. And if you look at our society and so many things that years ago used to be inappropriate and not okay, now they're saying, no, it's fine. Let's do this. Yeah, you can sleep with a child. You just got to wait till they're, 16, 17. I did not realize that they had some laws. I can't think of the laws that they have in in Florida, that as long as the person cannot be older than 24 or 25, but they can date someone who's at least 16 or 17 years old. Where did that come from? So there are a lot of other little things out there now, things that was on, abortion was always just something people were against, right? But now it's like, oh yeah, sure, you can have an abortion up until you're 7 months. The baby kid, if up until you're 7 months pregnant, and if you decide that you don't want to have the baby at 7 months, you can still abort your baby. How do they do that? You have to do a partial birth. And when you do a partial birth, once the head of the baby comes out, the doctors are going to use some scissors, stick it at the base of the child's head, go through the base of the skull, I guess where the cerebellum will be, push the scissors in there, whatever else they do. Because at that point, when they're 7 months, you can no longer give whatever through the IV, and that will get rid of the child, just disintegrate the baby. Now you have to do a partial birth and murder the child. Okay? And leave the child in a basin to die. Let the baby cry forever till it stops crying. And then what will happen? They'll take little parts of the baby to study. So that's why some people, they'll be okay with those type of things. Why? Because, oh, it's going to be helpful for medical studies. There's always a twist to it. But what am I saying, guys? I know I spoke about a lot of different things. What I'm telling you is there are a lot of things that would have been unheard of and not even thought of that is normalized today. Cursing is a part of that. And we're seeing it more and more now. You're seeing it more and more now than ever. Will our society evolve to the part where we're even going to see our presidents cursing? I'm not saying that they're not, maybe they do behind closed doors, but we'll get to a point that we're just going to see people cursing during their speech and things of that nature, and giving people the bird. Maybe now we can think that's crazy, but who knows? So just something to think about, guys. It's all about the mind, conforming to this world, conforming to what is normal. What you would normally say, nah, I can't do that. Now it's going, no, it's okay. And the more you buy into it, and the more you watch certain things, and those subliminal messages and seeds are placed within you, and you watch more material of other people normalizing certain things, and your own personal biases or whatever in the company you keep, and how you're living, and you living, a life, you're not praying, you're not seeking God, you're just living on your own and thinking you're making it all on your own. Yes, that's going to set you up to now become blind and say this is normal. Talking like this is normal. Having a rat trap is normal. Bitter and sweet, sweet and sour, salty and sweet coming out of your mouth. Yeah, that's normal. It's not. So, guys, just think about what I'm saying here. It may not apply to everybody, but isn't it good to know that God is faithful and He's able to show us? And that's how you know you're transforming, guys. The things that maybe you used to do before, and the way you used to talk, and the things you used to watch, when you begin to spend time with the Lord and really seek Him, when He begins to change your heart, because remember, it is a process. Sometimes when you first become a believer in the Lord, there are things that you may still do because you're still blind and you still think it's normal. Or you may know it's not normal, but it's not in you to get rid of those things or to stop doing those things yet. So the more you seek God and the more you're in His presence and the more you're in that Word, He'll begin to transform your heart. And one day you're going to try to maybe look at that thing that you used to look at and you realize, I can't do that anymore. I'm not saying that we're going to be out of touch, because we cannot be out of touch with the world. Let's say, for example, someone is talking to you and they're not a Christian and they curse. You should not be like, oh, I'm not going to talk to this person because this person curses. You have to have sympathy now and realize you used to be there, and maybe you never cursed, but maybe you used to sleep around. We all have something that we do, so you must give that person grace. You have to, sometimes if you're listening to something, you want to hear another perspective. You may listen to something, even on YouTube, someone is saying something, you hear them cursing. It's sad to hear that, but it's not that you're sitting there and listening to foul stuff, but there's certain things you have to hear somebody talking and giving a perspective on something, but you realize this person curses while they're making a point. No, I'm not entertaining cursing. No, I'm not saying that I'm going to just sit and listen to that. But sometimes, guys, as believers in the Lord, we can't be too self-righteous. We got to also be able to hear what this person is saying, okay? Even though they may not be expressing it in the way that you'd want them to. And truly, there are a lot of things, guys, where people are saying legitimate things, but you find that they just don't know. They just have to curse. So there are two sides to it, and where you have to have the balance. Yes, we have to point this out. This has to be pointed out so people can ponder on a few things, and at the same time having the grace and mercy of God to understand that sometimes a person speaks this way because that's what's normal to them. Hear them out, listen to what they have to say, be an example to them, and eventually you will find, guys, that that person, they'll say, there's something about you. And they could bring a change, or they notice you do not respond back with profanity, and you will make a change. So, guys, that perfect balance is going to come from God. You know what I mean? Remember, He sat with the sinners and He sat with all these individuals, not to act like them and not to be like them. They came around Him because they made the difference. And so we have to be able to be led by the Spirit of God in how to interact with people, even when they do speak a certain way. Okay, but not condoning it. Get that straight. You're not condoning it, and you're not hanging around with them and they're cursing and carrying on. You just sitting there like, hey. But there may be times you may have to sit and talk with someone. Maybe you're ministering to someone. Maybe they're telling you about something that's going on. You might not even be ministering. They're just sharing something that's going on with them. And you have an opportunity to witness to them. But while they're explaining themselves to you, they may be cursing in the middle. Are you going to shut it down? Or you learn to sit there and listen to them, see where they're coming from, and then you can minister, and then you allow God to do His perfect work in them. So that balance, that's why it's so important that we stay in the presence of the Lord, guys, and let Him lead us. Because if we don't, we could either become too self-righteous or at the same time become too complacent and then find yourself conforming. All right, guys, sorry that this video is so long. I know I touched on a bunch of different things here, but yeah. All right, guys.